Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, October 14th, 9 p.m. Mountain Time 2022. Tonight, we're going to have a wonderful expose on the younger Dryas impact hypothesis. So stay tuned for the boom. No, Orofeyoko volcano did not erupt. It's just an exercise, but Mauna Loa may be about to erupt, and we had a seismic swarm to the south in Pahala, raising many eyebrows. But the big story, a Florida river is expected to stay flooded through Thanksgiving. Thanks, Ian. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, it's true. The St. Johns River is at record highs. Earlier today, it was at 11.7 feet. Forecasted to crest at 12.3 feet, well above major flooding, feet above it. And it may stay up in flood stage all the way until Thanksgiving.
Rare sight. A lot of our rivers and...
Shut up. And that's because of Hurricane Ian and the fact that the entire state is saturated. Now let's talk about the tropical systems in the Atlantic. We've got Carl on the 2-day graphical. Currently, Carl is a tropical storm. Heavy rainfall associated with Carl could produce flash flooding with mudslides in areas of higher terrain across portions of Veracruz, Tabasco, Chiapas, and Oaxaca states in Mexico. As you can see, let's take a look at the warning cones. It's going to move in there and just smash into this region as a tropical depression. So heavy rain is the only warning there. Heavy rain also in southern U.S. Take a look at that. This is a rare monsoonal Southern California effect as this system is going to move in and saturate Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis. Much needed moisture for this entire region. This is a boon, including Oklahoma, for the very parched ground. So good news for the Southwest. And good news for the skiers. Let's take a look at the snowfall totals. Here we have a system that's going to be moving through Ontario and Quebec over the next few days. Starting this weekend, here is your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's going to be moving down into Wisconsin and into, look at that, Michigan could get its first major snow, as well as upstate New York. Whoa, let's slow that down. So here we are, Thursday, October 20th, just 6 days from now. It looks like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, the Appalachians, upstate New York, potentially New Hampshire, and Vermont could be picking up some snow. But look at these snow totals up in Canada. It's insanity. And then we have another system moving through next weekend that's going to be bringing heavy snow to the Rocky Mountains. And the system looks insane. Look at that. I love models. They get me giddy. Southwest, heavy rain and flood threats. We showed you those moving from Southern California east. There's flash flood warnings up in the green boxes in your counties for Arizona and Southern California, so check it out. An upper level system will spread showers and thunderstorms, some strong, across the Southwest. Heavy rain could cause flash flooding, especially on burn scars. Strong winds and dry conditions in the Pacific Northwest mountains will produce critical fire weather conditions, and a cold front may produce severe storms and heavy rain for parts of the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley. We have frost and freeze warnings in the blues and purples, so click on your county for more info. Now, you all heard about the 5.0 earthquake that hit Hawaii today, I'm sure, and this is after Mauna Loa volcano unrest and had been issued. Now, a magnitude 5 earthquake was the strongest of a series of tremblers that struck Friday on Hawaii's Mauna Loa, the largest active volcano on the planet that scientists say is in a state of heightened unrest. And here we can see that. One up at the caldera there, one over here at Kilauea, and a bunch down here on the flank of Mauna Loa. Where did they go? Where did they go up? Boom. That is quite a significant chunk. There's the 5. There was actually a 5.0, 7 kilometers southwest of Pahala. And many people felt that. A lot of people living on this region. For what reason? Very few people know why. Because it was really cheap in the 70s when they were allowed to sell it to them. Here we are over at Iceland, where there is some seismic unrest going on in the Dryas fracture zone. Let's go up there and look at the Dryas fracture zone large version. Let's go to the small scale and we can get a better look at that, what's going on there, which could be some volcanic activity underneath of the ocean there. So seismic activity has picked up in the Turnus fracture zone, as well as on the Vatnajökull Glacier. This is where Grímsvötn is, and some activity here at the Reykjanes volcano. But no, worldwide volcano news that is reporting that Öræfajökull volcano erupted. It's untrue. The status is exercise. So make sure you know what you're looking at here, kids, before you blow your mind. Status is exercise. There is no eruption of Öræfajökull on Iceland. In fact, here we are at the Smithsonian at the volcano, si.edu, and we can see that Öræfajökull, the last eruption was in 1727, confirmed VEI 4. Prior to that, 1362 at VEI 5. So no eruption happening there, just an exercise, which means that they are, well, we all know that a big eruption on Iceland is going to happen. It's not a question of if, but when. Now let's take a look at space weather. We did have a long duration M flare here kicking off earlier in the day, but it means nothing. It is not Earth facing. Where did it go? And won't be geo-effective. A little bit of plasma instability happening and geomagnetic instability earlier from this event here, which could have been the edge, a clipping edge of a CME that hit us and was sent the phi angle in a tizzy. It rose plasma speed and density all at once here, and we've gotten that little bit of geomagnetic instability. But being that we are at solar max, this is a very weak system and a very weak sun. Now let's get on with the good stuff that you all tuned in for, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a review of the evidence, and some other tidbits that I'd like to share with you. Now, if you don't know, we have a new radio show called Cosmic Catastrophe on the #1 listener-supported radio show on the internet at Revolution Radio. It is tomorrow, noontime Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and it is in Studio B. All the links will be below. So join us tomorrow for the second episode of Cosmic Catastrophe, where we are going to discuss, in fact, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis and review some of that evidence. Now, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis has lots of competing theories, but tonight we're going to discuss some of the best examples and some of the best physical evidence to support them. Now, it has been my life's work for decades to unravel what occurred during this event because I am a stratigrapher at heart and a paleontologist, and my study was in catastrophic cycles of deposition. And this just happens to be the last catastrophic cycle of deposition on Earth, just the first half of the scenario. The first half of the cycle is sea level rise, and that's what happened during after the Younger Dryas event. And then the next event, which we're all living now, is the sea level fall surface, where the oceans will now drop precipitously in the order magnitude of hundreds of feet. Now, since its introduction back in 2007, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis has received considerable attention and sparked heated debate. The occurrence of a global cosmic catastrophe, which the impact hypothesis suggests only slightly preceded the onset of human civilization in the Fertile Crescent of Southwest Asia. Now, is that because this is the onset of the first human civilization, or is this just the rebuilding of human civilization that was destroyed during the Younger Dryas impact? Now, there is tons of evidence for an extraterrestrial impact or something else on top of that happening 12,900 years ago or so that contributed to the megafauna extinctions and the Younger Dryas coolings. And we're going to show you all the graphs and all of the evidence tonight in a very succinct way, because we want to bring this all to you in a very understandable manner with maximum impact. Now, the Younger Dryas black mats. These are black carbonaceous mats. Here you can see the black line. These are carbonaceous material mats in association with the onset of the Younger Dryas. And this is all dating 12,009, 12,800 years ago. There are many links. We've got Kennett et al., 2009, Firestone, 2000, 2009, and hundreds of other peer-reviewed papers around the world have reported evidence of widespread biomass burning and the emplacement of a black mat at the Younger Dryas boundary. Now, Firestone has proposed that the passage of a single or multiple extraterrestrial objects could have created fireballs that would have ignited a forest in seconds. And in the case of the black mats, the entire northern hemisphere was lit on fire due to thousands of bolides making contact with the surface and subsequent ejecta. And maybe it was the sun exploding, pushing objects our way, and maybe some solar plasma hitting the surface at the same time, igniting the entire northern hemisphere. Now, the Younger Dryas impact field consists of a wide range across this area. So this was the area of Earth facing the sun, if in fact it was a solar outburst at the time of impact. And some of the evidence includes something called Carolina Bays. These are thousands of impact structures that happen to all align to what may be large impact points from some of these objects, whether they be solar plasma or pieces of a breaking up comet. Once these objects or bolides hit, they then splashed out and exploded, potentially ejecta, to then form these Carolina Bays. Now, the modeling of the inferred orientation of the Carolina Bays has been done, and there are multiple papers on the subject, so you can get up to speed. And we'll link you below to everything, so you can do your own research and come up with your own conclusions. Now, these black mats are all over the world, just not I think there are dozens, maybe approaching 100 in North America, and here we have some in Mexico. The Younger Dryas black mats from the Hoyo de Agua, a geoarchaeological site in northeastern Zacatecas, Mexico. So black mats are being found there. They're all over Siberia. Here are 5 Younger Dryas black mats in Mexico that we will link you to. Now let's go over what happened with the temperature during this event and what might be some of the... Were they all impactors? Was it a comet? Was it an asteroid? Was it the sun? Well, let's get into it. So I know this data like the back of my hand because I've been studying it for over 3 decades, but many of you do not. And what happened around 15,000 years ago is we came out of a very long ice age that peaked around 26,000 years ago during the peak of the Wisconsinian ice epoch, or ice age. And we were slowly just maintaining ice age conditions during that peak ice age, and it was, well, really icy in Northern America. It was an ice age. And sometime around 14,900 years ago, the temperature spiked 13 to 15 degrees C. That is a lot of temperature. This is a global spike in the Northern Hemisphere all around, the entire hemisphere. And so what happens is when you have all that ice, things start to melt. But after this warming, there was a rapid cooling event, the first of the Dryas coolings, and then a warming, and then a second drop of cooling, and then a warming, and then a major drop down back and deeper than the last ice age. And this is the 12,900 year event that is associated with cosmogenic material, a spike in it. We're going to get to all the graphs in the beryllium spike, the nanodiamonds, and this is when all the black mats occur and the entire northern hemisphere burns right here on this drop down. And this cold period lasts for thousands of years. And then around 11,800 or 500 years ago, the temperature rapidly warms back up, and we're now living in the Holocene, where it is nice and warm and we can grow crops and everything is fine. So what caused this Younger Dryas mass extinction? Well, we know about the black mats. All the forests in North America burned here potentially from objects from space. Now, a good friend of the channel, Paul Lavalette, who will be coming on exclusively for his next interview on our channel when he gets well. He broke his hip and he has been bedridden for a few months. So please send out your prayers to Paul and tell, we've been thinking about you, Paul. We love you and we can't wait to get you back on the show. But back in 2011, he wrote an incredible paper on the evidence for a solar flare cause of the Pleistocene mass extinction. And his study shows some amazing facts. Now, during that 12,900 year drop down in temperature here into cold, there was also a spike in radiocarbon excesses. Now, what does that mean? That means beryllium-10. A spike in beryllium-10 that lasted from 12,973 in steps, 12,9 to 12,837. Take a look at that. It's about 100 years of beryllium spikes. Now, I think what was going on was a period of massive cosmic catastrophe that began with a solar outburst from the sun that discombobulated all the objects in our near-Earth orbit and that caused a period of, asteroid impact and cometary impact that went on for an extended period of time on Earth. And it would have been quite a sight to see, to say the least. Now, the reason that I believe this is what happened during this specific time frame is supported by the archaeology and the paleontology. Now, let's get back to the graph. At this drop down, and only this drop down, prior to this, we have the Clovis people that are still hunting mammoth in great force in North America during this event. There is an estimated to be millions of people in North America until this instantaneous event. And after the black mats and the burning of everything here in this drop down, there are no more Clovis people. And it takes until about 9,600 or 10,000 years until we see people in North America again, and evidence for the Folsom culture. So this event literally eliminated all the people in the younger Dryas impact area. And that makes it even scarier. But what it doesn't make scary is that areas like Africa, the megafauna lived because no impactors were here. And we still have elephants and giraffes and all kind of crazy creatures there. We also have alpaca, and we have guinea pigs that are 6 feet long in South America, so they didn't get affected either. So the megafauna lived. There were even megafauna in northern Siberia in the form of mammoths that made it through the Younger Dryas, and they lived on islands in northern Siberia, out here in the Arctic, all the way up until 5,400 years ago, when it was just too warm and different, and they died off. So the evidence suggests that there was multiple impactors, perhaps for hundreds of years in this region, and all of these impact fields have different trajectories and different impact theories. So I think that the Southwest here initially got burned by a solar outburst, boom, and then in subsequent decades, big objects and comets came in and broke up and hit the rest of this place to completely eliminate the megafauna and really add insult to injury and end all of the major civilizations that were living in this region, and happened to be a great reset. And that's a boom to knowledge. To learn more, tune in tomorrow for our second episode of Cosmic Catastrophe on the #1 listener-supported radio, Revolution Radio. And thanks to each and every one of you for listening tonight. I hope you got something out of the video. Just a couple tidbits and titillating facts about actual science and things that are being held from the mainstream that they don't want you to know. But we do, and we love you. So be safe, and that's a boom. We'll see you tomorrow.